All right, let's get this show on the road. Welcome back, everyone, to another video. I am Celestiam, and we are here to talk today about some of the very recent news that has been brought to us in regard to the road ahead for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And I've been looking at a lot of what is being put out there in terms of content creators talking about these development announcements. And one of the things that I brought up in my sort of reaction video, I guess you'd call it, which if you haven't seen, I'll pin here for you in the top right hand corner, to the video that was the new format for the road ahead that CG gave us for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, was that with the introduction of the brand new characters of Lord Vader, our new Galactic Legend character, and Maul, our new Conquest character that are being introduced into the game, they've announced that these two are going to have a synergy. Now, we know why that is. It's to essentially be the other end of the spectrum for, or the dark side variant of the Master Kenobi Galactic Legend and the Commander Ahsoka Tano Conquest character, which sort of slots really well, and those two synergize fantastically and make, the new sort of meta team at the moment. Now they're wanting to replicate this with the Lord Vader and Maul. Now the issue that I brought up in my video was that I don't really feel like there is the grounds for giving those two synergy with each other, right? Because we don't see this occur in the Star Wars universe in general, right? So, and the other thing I wanted to discuss was the fact that Maul will also be given the Mandalorian tag. Now, I mentioned briefly in my video previously that I didn't believe that this was really deserved by Maul, but we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the lore in this video, and I'm offering the devil the chance for an advocate. And basically, I've talked to a couple of friends of mine who are very well versed in the lore, and I'd just like to give a quick shout out to Verandis, who gave me lots of information about Mandalorian culture in general. And what I want to just sort of also say is that I am going to sort of stick to canon for this. Obviously, there's a lot of difference in the laws for Mandalorian in Legends versus canon. But I think that... Well, anyway, let's get into it. And I want you guys to let me know what you think about this, right? Because this is sort of the thing that didn't really sit 100% well with me. But before we do, Admiral Akbar has unfortunately cut me off on the supply of that beautiful red wine that he was giving me, that from the vineyards of the shore of Corellia there. And so I have thankfully got this beautiful ale from some dive brewery in Ord Mantell, hooked up to me by a some sort of ally that I cannot at this point in time release the name of. But cheers to you, friend. Thank you for this. Almost tastes as good as the Admiral's sweet grapes. But anyway, I hope you guys are settling down with a drink. Let's get into the video. So, let's start with the Mandalorian tag for Maul. Okay, come over here. I want to show you guys a clip. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and turn this music down here for a second. Let's go on over. Okay, guys, check this out with me. This clip here is where Maul and Savage Opress are essentially storming Mandalore. This is the capital, where he's going to fight Pre Vizsla for the right to take over Mandalore. So to take over the title of Mandalore. Okay, and so this is a fairly pivotal moment for the Mandalorians, because at this point in time, there's at least to my knowledge, which I will admit is far more limited than other people's, that an outsider such as Maul had really been able to take up the mantle of Mandalore, if in fact he did. So, okay, so what's happening here at this point in time? This is a Clone Wars episode. Pre Vizsla has betrayed Maul. Essentially, they had an agreement to overthrow Satine, who was the current government, and in that dealing, essentially, he's betrayed Maul, sent him to prison, and Maul has then since escaped, come back out, and is about to take his revenge on Pre Vizsla. So here we go. So be it. Give him his weapon. Here's Bo-Katan. I actually really like this because this is probably the first point in time where her character gets that real point of development as well, and we start to see her become a far more prominent character in the Star Wars universe. And this is really good fight choreography. I really enjoy this. Some of the best lightsaber duels really do occur in this Clone Wars series. If you haven't seen it, I do highly recommend it to you. Now, you notice here that Pre Vizsla is using the Darksaber, the famed Darksaber. Now, if you've seen The Mandalorian, you would have caught a few glimpses of the Darksaber. Now, just to give you guys a little bit of backstory on the Darksaber, this was basically developed by the first Mandalorian, and it is somewhat fuzzy whether there were any subsequent Mandalorian Jedi, but this guy who became the first and possibly the only Mandalorian Jedi, and his name was Tar Vizsla. Okay, so obviously of the same family. Now, there's not much that we know about him, except for the fact that he created this saber. It's somewhat different, obviously, to your standard lightsaber in shape, in color, in hilt shape, etc. And he dies at some point, and his lightsaber is kept by the Jedi and stored within the temple. The temple is then later raided by the Vizsla family, Vizsla clan, and successfully. And they take the saber back, and then it's handed down throughout that family over the generations. And their family essentially creates the Death Watch, right? Which is the cult of Mandalorians that respect more their old warrior past, right? So the Mandalorian culture that we know and love, that's very much warlike, right? They're not really reasonable in terms of being able to negotiate with them and all that kind of thing. They just live to war with outsiders, which is a very, I guess, limited description of their culture. But this Darksaber is handed down, and so it obviously ends up in the hands of Pre Vizsla here, who is his the current person of his family, who is the leader of the Death Watch. So he has this Darksaber. Now, the Darksaber for his family in particular, the Vizsla family, is a very prominent symbol of Mandalorian power and leadership, right? Now, also for the rest of Mandalorian culture, this saber is very well respected, well known, and he who wields the saber has quite a lot of political sway, so to say, in terms of being able to claim the title of Mandalore, should they so want it. Now, that being said, it's extremely important to note that the title of Mandalore always went to the strongest Mandalorian. So, if a Mandalorian felt they were a better warrior than the current Mandalore, they could challenge them in one-on-one combat to the death. That would essentially determine who would obviously be the subsequent Mandalore going ahead. And that is exactly what's happening in this scene here. So let's keep going. The point of contention here is that Maul was not a Mandalorian at the time that he issued the challenge. Now, regardless of that, Pre Vizsla has accepted the challenge and now they're fighting, right? I also really like this scene because Maul is a very powerful Force user, right? And he is obviously having a tough time fighting this warrior Mandalorian, and that really speaks to the, you know, combat capability that they had, even up against Jedi and Sith, who, you know, sometimes we take for granted as being the most powerful warriors in the galaxy, but these guys were non-force sensitive warriors that, you know, literally their whole culture was around attempting to fight and kill Jedi. The only point of this scene I don't enjoy is how did he get his legs apart now? Because he had them wrapped up. I'd realized he cut it, maybe it fell away, but I don't think it would have happened that easily. And here we go. Gonna get kicked around by those tough mechanical legs. I can't believe he's still awake at this point, to be honest. Let's just say he's got a super hard head. Lost some teeth there. Down we go. Maul's going to use the Force to summon the Darksaber, so it's now in his hand. He ignites it, and he's going to execute.
Only the strongest shall rule.
Okay, now, this is the moment where he calls the Death Watch to follow him.
And my rightful place as leader of Death Watch.
Some automatically follow the standard rule. Kneel before him. No outsider will ever rule Mandalore. So, this is where Bo-Katan really splits away from the Death Watch. She takes a number of their clan with her. They follow her. They agree with her. They believe that by the traditions and laws of Mandalorian culture, Maul was not able to claim the title of Mandalore. So this was kind of my knee-jerk reaction, I guess you would say, when I first heard that Maul was being granted the Mandalorian tag in Galaxy of Heroes.
Unfortunately for you, history will not see it that way. Execute them!
So Bo-Katan and her followers managed to escape. And what Maul subsequently does from here is essentially place a new prime minister in to be essentially the face of the leader of Mandalore. So, and then he rules from the shadows. At this point in time, he's already successfully completed his assault on Mandalore with his Crimson Moon and Pike Syndicate and all these other underworld factions that he's united under his rule, essentially by going around and killing their leaders and etc. In the lead up to this episode. And Maul is really establishing his own quite significant power base in the galaxy at this point. Now, another video I want to have a look at is this one here. So, I feel like... I'll just shoot back over here for you guys for a second. On thinking about this a little bit more, I've grown to accept the fact that Maul will get the Mandalorian tag more. He does wield the Darksaber for a significant period in time. He kills Pre Vizsla in what many consider to be sanctioned one-on-one combat to determine the leader of Mandalore going forward. And really, even Pre Vizsla sort of says that right at the end before Maul executes him, where you go, and only the strongest will rule. So I'm putting this one to bed. We're saying, yep, give Maul the Mandalore tag. Additionally, this could have some benefits for maybe some synergy with Beskar Mandalorian, and we have known for some time that he's kind of lacking a little bit in terms of his feasibility within the game in general, and so possibly having Maul slot into a Mandalorian team with Beskar Mandalorian, etc., will sort of be the missing link that we require there. Question number 2. We're talking about the synergy between Darth Maul, or Maul rather, and the new Lord Vader character. Now, this one I struggled with more. However, I did find a few things which are interesting to note. This one in particular. Let's take a look.
No, wait. It was...
Rex, get a medic.
This is Commander Rex. We have a man down.
Maul had a vision, a dream. The name came to him.
What name?
Skywalker. No, wait. It was...
Let's stop this. We don't need... Okay, so... Pretty epic moment. So I've only very recently been rewatching season 7 of the Clone Wars, and this is sort of post going through the new Bad Batch series that's been released, and I've really found that the first half of the Clone Wars season there, those first 4 episodes where we're mostly covering those Bad Batch episodes, were a lot more enjoyable for me the second time around, having watched the Bad Batch series. And anyway, that's I digress. Pretty important piece of information there that Maul actually doesn't directly disclose to Ahsoka. So that is former Prime Minister Almec, who I believe strikes the deal with Pre Vizsla, possibly. I could be wrong on this. Actually, Satine imprisons him for his treason, essentially. Where, yeah, I do believe he did strike a deal with the Death Watch in order to have them come in and take over, essentially. And so after that fails, with the help from Kenobi and the Republic, he's imprisoned by Satine, as we see there, Ahsoka and Bo-Katan go to question him. Actually, I could be wrong about this. Maybe either Maul imprisons him or Satine imprisons him, but he has an interaction with Maul where Maul discloses to him that he's had a vision about Skywalker. Now, this is super important. Before this point in time, the only interaction between Anakin Skywalker and Maul is in The Phantom Menace, when Anakin is still a young boy and, Maul is chasing down he and Qui-Gon Jinn as they're, about to jump into the Naboo cruiser and leave Tatooine after he's liberated by Qui-Gon. And then again, after they are on Naboo and they're trying to, get rid of the separatist presence on Naboo or whatever they're doing, and they meet Maul again, right? And he yells to him, go hide in the cockpit, Anakin, and he goes and hides. And then basically, when Kenobi comes back out of that battle and Qui-Gon doesn't, this is a pretty significant moment in Anakin's life where his vision of the Jedi being essentially unkillable and all-powerful is shattered by Maul, because Qui-Gon was supposed to be his original master. He was saying to Anakin, I will take you on as my apprentice, and said to Obi-Wan, you're ready for the trials, you're all good to go. Kenobi was against the idea of really taking Anakin on altogether. Now, up until this point, at that point in time, Maul wouldn't have bat an eyelid at Anakin, right? But now he's having visions about Anakin. The dark side is growing more and more powerful as it draws closer to the point in time where Order 66 is about to be executed, right? And it's, I think, lending Maul the ability to be able to see more of what's about to disclose. And the reason being is because he was originally supposed to be a part of these plans unfolding altogether, but he was abandoned by Sidious after his loss to Kenobi. So I just want to show you guys one more scene here where this is elucidated on a little bit more. Let's take a look. And this scene in particular that's about to show up is beautiful. Ready? Steady, spaghetti. I love that.
I will help you.
That was surprising to me.
But you must answer one question.
You have but to ask.
Here it is.
What do you want with Anakin Skywalker?
He is the key to everything.
To bring balance to the Force?
To destroy. He has long been groomed for his role as my master's new apprentice.
You lie.
I'm afraid not. In fact, I was so certain of his fate that I orchestrated this war to lure him here with Kenobi, to kill him, thus depriving Sidious of his prized pupil.
I know Anakin. Your vision is flawed.
And from there they go into combat, right? Now, this is like... this is as close as I can get, really. Now, so Maul has told Ahsoka that in his vision, he has foreseen Anakin being groomed by Sidious, by Chancellor Palpatine, to become his new apprentice and to be the one that actually helps him execute Order 66 and destroy the Jedi, which has been the plan of the Sith for thousands of years prior. Now, plan after having this vision was to lure Anakin to Mandalore. So he didn't expect that Ahsoka would be the one that would be sent. He was hoping that Kenobi and Anakin would come and he would get his chance to kill Anakin and thereby thwart the plans of Sidious in turn, because throughout the Clone Wars we learned quite a lot about Maul's deep anger and anguish associated with his feeling of being betrayed by Sidious after he learns of his survival after his defeated Kenobi's hands, and really doesn't care. To the Sith, he was beaten. He was no longer worthy of being Sidious's apprentice. Now, I do want to say this as a disclaimer: there is apparently in the new canon Vader comics that have been released an interaction between Darth Vader and Maul where they actually battle it out. And what happens very briefly in this scene is Darth Vader is lured to a Sith planet. I'm not exactly sure which one. And by these dark side disciples, right? And they basically are, worshipping Sidious as the greatest and most powerful Sith Lord to have ever existed. And they believe that Vader is unworthy of being his apprentice, as he's not powerful enough. He's, too much machine. He can't really channel the dark side as properly as a living, breathing, hating man would be able to do, essentially. And so Maul finds these people and convinces them that he would be a better apprentice for Sidious again in his final attempt to, rise back up to power and into the throes of the Sith. But, so when Vader arrives on the planet and they reveal these darkside disciples reveal their plan to Vader, Maul comes out and a battle between Vader and Maul ensues. Now, Maul is apparently taking the upper hand in this fight for quite some time, up until Vader takes his own lightsaber, stabs it through his own chest, and kills Maul with it. Now, essentially, he wins the fight, and basically we carry on from there. Sidious has a conversation with Vader as he's followed him down to the planet after that, and sort of says, I didn't arrange this, I swear, but here it is. Now, I haven't directly read or looked into these Vader comics. Apparently, they get a little bit weird. Like the first few are really good, but then it kind of goes in a weird direction from there. And I'm going to look into it into the future and read them properly. But I just basically wanted to cover what I'm very certain is canon, and that is, what is shown to us essentially in the Clone Wars series. And so can we answer the question, does there deserve to be this synergy between Maul and Lord Vader, such as there is between Master Kenobi and Commander Ahsoka Tano? Now, looking at this, Maul's plan, if we are to believe what he says to Ahsoka, and he doesn't really strike me as the lying type. I feel like we should just take his word for it, such as he says it to Ahsoka in the episode there, that his plan was to lure Anakin out and kill him. Now, if he didn't want to then also kill Sidious beyond that and just take his place back as his apprentice, or whether he did in fact want to team up with Ahsoka to attempt to kill Sidious as well, that's neither here nor there. But what we can say with certainty, I think, even if we're looking at that Vader comic interaction between Maul and Darth Vader as well, is that they always have opposite interests. They're fighting with each other, like against each other, never with each other as a team. And so, in terms of the synergy between Maul and Galactic Legend Lord Vader, I'm still not a fan. I understand that for gameplay reasons, they wanted to replicate what they've created with Master Kenobi and Commander Ahsoka Tano. However, I still stick to my guns in saying that I don't want you to push stuff into Galaxy of Heroes for gameplay reasons so that you can roll out the new characters that you want to roll out and have them be powerful and all that kind of thing in these new teams when you're ready to, but it not be based in what actually happens in Star Wars, in the Star Wars lore. And so this one still sits bad with me. I'm happy for Maul to have Mandalorian tag, but I'm not happy that they're going to release these two characters with the intention of having them essentially synergize with each other as if they, fought together with each other in any of the Star Wars movies or series. It never happened, And so, well, you could say the same for Commander Ahsoka Tano and Master Kenobi. Like in Season 7, Commander Ahsoka Tano and Master Kenobi never actually fought together, but there still is all of that history of Kenobi having helped Anakin train Ahsoka. They fought together on countless occasions during the Clone Wars, and do in fact have that, in my mind at least anyway, that groundwork to justify synergy there. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? Do you guys think I'm missing something? Do you think I'm thinking about this way too much? Are you just happy to have these characters come into the game? Or do you agree with me? Do you think that this is a push by CG to, introduce new characters into the game, but they're beginning to ignore Star Wars and the Star Wars universe and what is fundamentally the reason why this game has lasted so long is because it's a Star Wars game, right? We all love this universe and that's why we play the game. So I think it's quite important that CG respects Star Wars lore when it is bringing out its characters, and make sure that if we're going to have synergized characters, that there's a reason for that synergy to exist. Now, look, that's all I'm going to say. I've been ranting enough. I thank you guys for sticking with me this long, and as I say, always comment down below on your thoughts, whether you agree or disagree. We're going to talk more about the road ahead because the developers have since brought out another post in response to a lot of the feedback that they've been getting. Long story short, it's not great news, and I will see you guys in the next video. Please hit like as well if you did in fact like the video, and subscribe to the channel so you can see more content from me, and I will see you in the next one, guys. Peace out.